Alright, well, let's finish this off. The final level of Braid. At a cafe on a bright plaza, most customers sit back, feeling the warmth of the sun, enjoying their cold drinks. But not Tim. He barely notices the sun, doesn't really taste his coffee. For him, this corner affords a good view of the city, and the teeterings of the passers-by, and the arc of his shopgirl's hand as she displays tea to an interesting gentleman. Tim hopes to see clues. That night at a cinema, fictitious adventures lunge implausibly across the screen. The audience here is mixed. Some are patrons of the cafe, some sitting excitedly in the plush chairs, eager for another new flavor, for distraction from the boredom of their easy lives. Others seat whole fishermen and farm workers, hoping to forget their toils and rest their hands. Tim is here too, but he is scrutinizing the gloss on the lips of the screen, measuring the angle of the plumb of the distant helicopter crash. He thinks he discerns the message. When the cinema closes and most of the audience strolls down the plaza to the south, Tim goes north. People like Tim seem to live oppositely from the other residents of the city, tide and riptide, flowing against each other. Tim wants, like nothing else, to find a princess, to know her at last. For Tim, this would be momentous, sparking an intense light that embraces the world, a light that reveals the secrets long kept from us, that illuminates or materializes a final palace where we can exist in peace. But how would this be perceived by the other residents of the city, in a world that flows contrarized? The light would be intense and warm at the beginning, but then flickered down to nothing, taking the castle with it. It would be like bringing down a place we've always called home, where we played so innocently as children, destroying all hope of safety forever. Alright, so notice that the doors here are phased in a different order than before. Like, we got the far left door here, accessible, but the other doors are not. This is sort of unlike the other worlds where, if like I go, like, say, to, let's just do a world 2, I guess. In world 2, basically, you have, like, you know, it goes like this door, that door, that door, that door. But world 1 is backwards. And I want to emphasize that note. World 1 is backwards. And yeah, if you look at the top there, it says world 1. It doesn't say anything about the 1, it says 1. Alright, let's get going. And the world is going backwards. So, how do I beat this puzzle? So they aren't dying, these guys. They just die when I hit that thing there. So how do I do it? You notice what I did there? I did that wrong. But basically you have to like stop them from like spawning so that you can like jump in here. So that's how it works. So how does this one work? Like that. No ladder this time. Well, I did that wrong. Let's see if we can do this. I messed up there. Well, let's get these guys back down, I guess. Oh, I got up here. I did that wrong. So you get the idea? Basically you have to start planting so you get, like, you know, all the way up here. So you need all three. And then you have to jump there. Braid! Alright, well, this is very interesting, but there's a knight and a princess. I've got you! Oof. Now remember, this rolls backwards. I'll say this one more time later, but you'll see what's going to happen later. So here we go. Oops. Okay, I can't screw on like that. This is like, you know, where you use time stop and like you're like, you know, running with the princess here. It's a time game. Oh, messed up again. Move, move, move! No speaking, because it's lots of thinking. Too soon. And we're at the castle. And then... So... basically, here's the princess. But here's a very, you know, unfortunate truth about this game. Okay, what am I supposed to do here, actually? I see forward, or we go back in time here. Now notice what's happening here. I'm facing a different direction. while the princess is running the other way. Facing the other direction. And you notice how, like, it's sort of like blocking my way up to her? And what happens when this is done in real time? Help. Come down here. Help. So, this world was backwards until now. And now we're in the epilogue. Nothing coming from these green books, but the boy called for the girl to follow him, and he took her hand. He would protect her. They would make their way through this oppressive castle, fighting off the creatures made of smoke and doubt, escaping to a life of freedom. The boy wanted to protect the girl. He held her hand or put his arm around her shoulders in a walking embrace to help her feel supported and close to him amid the impersonal throngs of Manhattan. They turned and made their way through the Canal Street subway station, and he picked the path through the jostling crowd. Now, note something. His arm weighing upon her shoulders felt constrictive around her neck. "You're burdening me with your ridiculous need," she said. Or she said, "You're going the wrong way, and you're pulling me with you." "In another time, another place," she said. "Stop yanking on my arm. You're hurting me." He worked his ruler and his compass. He inferred. He deduced. He scrutinized the fall of an apple, the twisting of metal orbs hanging from a thread. He was searching for the princess and would not stop until he found her, for he was hungry. He cut rats into pieces to examine their brains and planted tungsten posts into the skulls of water-starved monkeys. Alright, so now here's a puzzle. And, you know, the epilogue. So, how this, like, puzzle sort of works, if you haven't really guessed, basically, you have to, like, you know, hide behind, like, you know, like, certain, like, things. Like, if I hide behind here, it changes, like, the text that's basically being displayed. But in this case, the text is, like, all the way up here. And if you hit a green book, then it kills the text. So you can't go this way. This is a sort of easy puzzle if you know what to do. Ghostly, she stood in front of him and looked him in the eyes. "I am here," she said. "I'm here. I want to touch you," she pleaded. "Look at me." But he would not see her. He only knew how to look at the outside of things. He scrutinized the fall of an apple, the twisting of metal orbs hanging from a thread. Though these clues, he would find a princess, see her face. After, especially for a night of tinkering, he kneeled behind a bunker in the desert. He held a piece of welder's glass up to his eyes and waited. On that moment hung eternity. Time stood still. Space contracted to a pinpoint. It was as though the earth had opened and the sky split. One felt as though he had been privileged to witness the birth of the world. Someone near him said, "It worked." Someone else said, "Now we are all sons of bitches." And I'm not sure if there's a puzzle in here, but I want to note that this is basically a quote from the Manhattan Project. So obviously there's a bunch of puzzles here I have to solve, but whatever. The candy store. Everything he wanted was on the opposite side of the pane of glass. The store was decorated in bright colors, and a sense wafting out drove him crazy. He tried to rush for a door, or just get closer to the glass, but he couldn't. She held him back with great strength. Why would she hold him back? How might he break free of her grasp? He considered violence. You know, let's just back up time a little bit here. And you know what? I think what I need to do over here, perhaps, is maybe back up time. Perhaps to get, like, you know, behind this thing. Is there a puzzle here is a thing? Well, I guess that book opens regardless of whether I want to or not. Well, whatever, you get the idea. There's basically puzzles in the epilogue that you can see. Oh. I think I know how to solve this puzzle, maybe. Alright, so I basically have to get on, like, you know, this thing, somehow. Yeah, there's basically a puzzle in the epilogue. Oh, whatever. I'll try and see what the puzzles might be after I, like, look at a walkthrough or something. He can't say he understood all of this. Possibly he's more confused now than ever, But all these moments he's contemplated, something has occurred. The moments feel substantial in his mind, like stones. Kneeling, reaching down toward the closest one. Running his hand across it, he finds it smooth and slightly cold. He tests the stone's weight. He finds he can lift it and the others too. He can lift them together to create a foundation, an embankment, a castle. To build a castle of appropriate size, he will need a great many stones. What he's got now feels like an acceptable start. And there's a cloud up here. But there's no puzzle in this one, I don't think. This cloud is just here for the sake of it being here. And then here's Braid. And the Fire City, you know, out in the distance. Alright, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna just check to see if just a walkthrough like those other two epilogue moments. I'll be right back. Alright, well, I'm back, and I think I know how to get through the epilogue now, so I'll basically do this all over again, and then I'll see you back in the epilogue. Alright, well, I'm getting toward the end, where the princess gets saved. And it seems a little bit slow for some reason in the game, but whatever. We've already seen this, so basically, you know, you've seen that text. You've seen that text that comes after it. You saw the text for this thing down here. So it's worth noting that these books, the red one here, they're actually linked to time. So they basically, they stay visible or invisible depending on how you look at it. So there's a text for that one. Now, I'm basically waiting for a sound here because notice that red book is basically opened. She stood tall and majestic. She radiated fury. She shouted, "Who has disturbed me?" But then anger expelled. She felt sadness beneath. She let her breath fall softly like a sigh, like ashes floating gently on the wind. She couldn't understand why he chose to flirt so closely with the death of the world. And there's this one here. Alright, for this one, basically you have to sort of time your jump, so to speak. And jump on this thing so you can get over the books. It's very odd, this one. Basically, what you have to sort of do with this platform is you have to sort of jump on it, and then when it's rising up, you can get off it, so to speak, after that. Lever puzzles, you know, my favorite type of thing. I should probably note, by the way, so this one's basically talking about like the candy store and how you like consider violence. If you hold him back with great strength, why would you hold him back? How might he break free of her grasp? He considered violence. So I'm hitting this lever because, like, you know, I have to basically jump onto this. I'm pretty sure it's like, thing will actually move with time, so... It goes up, it goes down. That type of thing. So, go put up. Put down. Step here. Put it up. Put down. Now watch what happens when I like do all this, I guess, so to speak. Alright, so I did that wrong, but I guess I have to sort of like use like, you know, my ability to like be free of time there for a little bit. Did that wrong? Well, now I'm stuck in the air. That's sort of an improvement. Now I'm up here. Now I have to figure out how to like get the red book to go, basically. Maybe this will work? Nope. There. Alright, so. They had been here before on her daily walks. She didn't mind his screams and his shrieks or the way he yanked painfully on her braid to make her stop. He was too little to know better. She picked him up and hugged him. "No, baby," she said. He was shaking. She followed his gaze toward the treats sitting on the pillows behind a glass, the chocolate bar, and the magnetic monopole, the if from bit, and the ethical calculus, and so many other things deeper inside. "Maybe when you're older, baby," she whispered, setting him back on his feet and leading him home. "Maybe when you're older." Every day thereafter, as before, she always walked him on the route that passed in front of the candy store. There's a bit about the candy store. And you basically already seen like the other stuff, so let's talk a little bit about the ending here, I guess, of Braid. Oh wow, so there's how I get into the epilogue. That's good, no? By the way, unlock speedruns when you wouldn't beat the game like this. Alright, well, this has basically been the Let's Play for Braid. And I figure I sort of like owe a little bit of an explanation for the storyline and basically, you know, making sense of it. So, first things first, it's worth knowing that in the final world, basically time moves backwards. And essentially, what it's basically describing, the guy basically here, Tim, he basically decided to, I guess, mess with like the causality of the world to basically create like a situation where he can like go back in time. Basically, that's why like time is basically reversed there, because he was able to like reverse time. And essentially, he's trying to like get to the princess, but what you don't know as like a player until like it's sort of like the end is that Tim is a monster. Tim is like, you know, this like, you know, unruly child in his like youth and as a kid and all that. And basically, when he like gets to the princess tries to run away from him. And there's basically many like forms of thoughts on like what the princess represents, what Tim represents, and what the knight represents, and everything else. But I guess like the basic story is that the princess basically escapes from Tim, and like, you know, gets saved by the knight, and like, you know, Tim is like, you know, unable to basically get to her. So in a sense, I guess like it's a good ending, so to speak. But you're basically failing because you're like the monster, obviously. But basically, there's many like you know, maybe like interpretations I like to take away from this game. It like says like, you know, that little equivalent of Manhattan thing, and there's actually a secret ending to this game. And in that secret ending, it sort of like puts forth the idea that the princess basically represents an atom bomb, and like Tim is like, you know, a scientist working towards creating the atom bomb. And that's why you get one of those quotes like, "Why is he so closely with death?" Because like, you know, the atom bomb is like death. So there's actually a lot more. Basically, you know, there's like a secret basically here in this game. I won't really spoil it, but it's basically like, you know, a game that it has you like as the bad guy, so to speak. You don't know it in the beginning, but then it like changes that you are the bad guy. And like in a run there of like the princess when you're chasing after her, when you actually like, you know, get to the princess and like you know, it goes into like, you know, real time. What you actually see there is like the princess, she's actually blocking off your way to her. So like, you know, you're a monster, you're trying to get to her, and she's trying to basically obstruct your, you know, ability to get to her and actually get saved from night in the end. So that's basically sort of like the takeaway from like that ending with like the princess. But anyhow, you can take away anything you want from this game. Basically, this is like, you know, art. It's basically, you know, made to be interpreted however you want to by like the player. And there's not much more to say than that. Anyhow, I'm more or less like, you know, was after this game for the game mechanics, but you know, the ending's also, you know, sort of like, you know, something to, you know, glean from it too. So take what you will from it. I sort of expect my explanation was like terrible, but whatever. Take away whatever you want from that as well. But yes, this is Braid. I hope you guys enjoyed this like little series. I'll move on to my next game after this, and you know, take care.